So you don't prescribe to the all or nothing approach. What do you think is the best way? And I know you've obviously done a lot of research, a lot of work when it comes to addictions. How do you approach addiction?
Well, one thing that people are talking about right now with Lindsay Lohan is how she's in denial because she's claiming that somebody put the cocaine in her pocket. And everybody's talking about denial. When you go to a treatment center now, they say you're in denial, you're an addict. They bombard you with information, negative information. For me, when people use the word denial, you can discount their ability to work with other people. When you're fighting with your client, you're not helping them. What I do with a person is I say, oh, you were just arrested or you're caught drinking. Tell me about that. And then they might try and say some positive things, which is fine. Oh, I like going out with my friends. I just relax. And then I say, have any negatives come about as a result of this? And if the person feels you're on their side and understanding them, Lindsay Lohan, she may be a little unaware, but she's noticed that she's got some problems. And you just let them express those problems. And then you begin to track down how to deal with those problems. I don't know Lindsay Lohan. I don't know her case. I haven't examined her. But some of the things you might think are, she needs to find some other kind of entertainment besides going to clubs. She might need to hang around with other people. Now, on the other hand, Lindsay Lohan is not a person without resources. You know, she's got 3 major movies being released this year, and she had 3 major movies released last year. She's a person with ability and skills. Instead of putting people down, don't you realize you're ruining your life? I say, what are the things you do well? What are the things you like to do that are positive, that bring positive things for you? How are you able to do more of those kinds of things? I don't spend my time attacking my clients. I spend my time working with them to ferret out what they feel is going wrong with their life and looking for the things that they already possess, if possible, that can enable them to navigate in a positive direction.
All right. When we return, Dr. Stanton Peele will return with us as well. His latest book is Addiction Proof Your Child, and I want to talk more about what we can do as parents. All right, our guest this half hour, Dr. Stanton Peele. He is author of Addiction Proof Your Child. And I want to talk a little bit about that, Dr. Peele, because you said if we believe that our kids are going to wait until, here in Ontario, the drinking age is 19. Elsewhere, I know in the United States, it's 21. If we think they're going to wait that long before they drink, we're crazy. And even if they do, they may binge drink. We don't want our kids turning into alcoholics. We don't want them to drink unsafely and put themselves in peril. So what do we do? How do we start? How do we approach this when our 15-year-old is brought home on our front porch and she's dead drunk?
Well, first let me point out, I forgot that I was talking to CKLW, and I know about CKLW because I went to the University of Michigan. Canada has a lower drinking age than the United States, for your American listeners. The United States is the only Western country that has a drinking age of 21. The only one. Not only are European countries' drinking ages lower, maybe around 18, but they allow kids to drink at an even earlier age if they're drinking in a restaurant with their parents.
Okay.
Now, this is like a crazy radical idea in the United States. You could be arrested possibly for drinking with your kids in a restaurant. But what's the concept? The concept is that people are going to do something, then they're going to eat, for example. 90% of them are going to drink. How are they going to learn how to do that? And you learn to do that best when you learn to do that with adults who are behaving sensibly and who use that, integrate their drinking with a regular social occasion or with a meal. But let's take one step further back. How do you addiction-proof your child? Well, first you have to have a family to teach them things with. And, you know, that's not totally a foregone conclusion. In general, I don't agree with some of the major addiction outlets in the United States and their recommendations, which I consider unrealistic and even counterproductive. But it is true that in a family unit, and such things as eating together regularly are important ingredients in creating a solid basis for your children learning proper attitudes, and for even, if you choose, to teach them how to drink. And this gets down to some fundamental values that kids need to learn, which I outline in my book. Who is it who becomes addicted? How does a person drive drunk? It's You might say, well, the alcohol takes over. They can't help themselves. But that's not how I look at it. When my child went to college, my youngest daughter, Anna, who I dedicate my book to, she said she went to a club with some other people, and when she found out the drinks were $15 a drink, she didn't have any. I thought, well, that's my money, by the way. So I said, she's learned some basic values, and that's why I actually call I'm betting that my daughter's addiction-proof, because she has some fundamental values. She understands that things cost money. She understands that she has responsibilities, that she's attending university, somebody else is paying for it, yours truly, and she knows that she needs to succeed at what she's being asked to do, and she wants to. She values achievement. So those are examples of fundamental values: money, achievement, responsibility, that make it unlikely that a person is going to give their life over to some substance and behave in a destructive way. It sounds horribly old-fashioned, I know, but that's how human beings get to be mature adults and to overcome problems. It's not that kids won't do things wrong.
Mm-hmm.
One other thing I want to throw in here. You know, Lindsay Lohan seems to get drunk a lot. That's one thing. Getting drunk and driving drunk are two different things. And here's an example of where our approach, especially in the United States, is so counterproductive and nonsensical. In Addiction Proof Your Child, I described going to a local community where they were having a drug education night for parents. And they just kept giving out all these horrible statistics. And I said, well, I raised my hand. I said, why would these statistics in terms of kids abusing substances and getting hurt be reduced if we don't say anything different tonight than what we've said in the past? Since they can't accept that some kids will drink, they can't accept that they need to reduce the dangers if they do drink. Okay. And here's one way that you reduce the dangers. You make it clear to your child, whatever your values are, it's not for me to say. If you want to tell your kid, I don't want you ever to drink outside the home, you can tell them that. Good luck. But you need to tell them, I need you to be safe. And the deal we need to make is you're never going to endanger yourself, and I will always be there to make sure that doesn't happen.
Okay.
If you become drunk, or if you've had too much to drink, or somebody you're with has had too much to drink and they're going to drive, I need you to call me on my cell phone wherever I'm at. Mm-hmm. Now, Lindsay Lohan doesn't have permission to do that. She's been told she can never, ever drink. When she does drink, she's totally embarrassed and flustered, and then she ends up going out and endangering her life and other people's lives. At the parents' drug education night, I went up to the counselor afterwards, and I said, you didn't mention a single thing that kids could do. You say they're all drinking regularly. You didn't mention a single thing to do to safeguard their safety. And she said, I tell my kids when they were in high school, they're a little older than that now, that they should never drive drunk and they should always call me. But I could never say that publicly. Is that bizarre?
Yeah, it is. I mean, we should have contracts with our kids. We should tell them that they can always rely on us. And we can do that. We can give them that message without condoning their drinking.
Absolutely. Those are two separate messages. And in Addiction Proof Your Child, I describe the strange case. A girl in New Jersey at the age of 18 went clubbing in New York City. She got drunk. Her car was impounded. When she came to the impound, she panicked and ran out from the impound. That's in a very dangerous neighborhood. She was taken by a man, raped, and murdered. And afterwards, her father said, I would have told her, I wish I could have talked to her. This is about his dead daughter. Mm-hmm. I would have told her, you're going to be punished, but you need to call me. But that's not really an effective way to communicate with people. A better way to communicate is to say, I need to know that you're going to be safe. What can you tell me that's going to reassure me that your behavior is safe? And you begin the discussion that way. You don't pound on children or anybody to get them to consider options to safeguard themselves.
All right. Dr. Peel, we have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us. Dr. Stanton Peel joins us from New Jersey this morning. His latest book, Addiction Proof Your Child. It is available, as is a lot of information from Dr. Peel on addiction. Once again, licensed psychologist, attorney, practicing psychotherapist, author of numerous books and articles. He takes a different spin, perhaps, than one that you have heard about. I'd like to hear from you this hour at 519-792